Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Monday Weekend Wrap-Up episode 56. Joining us for the full hour, to your left on the screen, we have Mr. Milo the First. Milo, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good evening. I'm very well, thank you.
Doing good, good, good. And also joining us, as always, is Hofspur. Hoff, how you doing?
Great.
Doing good?
Glad to be here.
Yeah. How's the weather where you guys are?
It snowed today.
It
snowing.
snowed?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's
Milo, how about you?
overcast. Just
Oh, my.
overcast. Yeah.
There was supposed to be an atmospheric river. I don't know if you've heard that phrase. Atmospheric river.
Is that what led to your flooding situation last time?
Apparently, in the past, that's what it was. But it's been pretty dry lately. It's been pretty dry. It's kind of nice. It's a little caught me by surprise because I thought it'd be a lot more. I thought I'd be stuck inside. I stocked up on food and all this stuff, sandbags, everything. But no, it's pretty uneventful. It's kind of like you're waiting for an earthquake and it just never happens or something. But anyhow, we've got a nice show tonight. Let's take a look at the topics for this evening. Lineker Gate, big news in England. Probably not so much here, obviously, but fans of football will probably be a little familiar with what's going on with Gary Lineker and the BBC. Tres for Trossard. Great performance from Leandro Trossard. We'll be taking a look at Arsenal's match later today. Casemiro is out for 4 games for United. We'll talk a little bit about United's game. We'll talk a bit about Spurs and the rest of the Premier League. We got some Harry Kane action. Chelsea, City, everyone's in action. You know what mess of a club is referencing, guys? By any chance?
Mess of a club.
Barcelona is traditionally said más que un club. Mess que un club.
Okay.
So it's more than a club. But right now it's quite a mess of a club. And we'll talk a little bit about Barcelona and other action that's happening around Europe and worldwide. We'll take a look at what chat's talking about. Chat, you can see yourself on screen here in place of our fourth guest, whoever it may be, Cultured. He's fixing airplanes and shit. We have the return of the quiz.
He's solving the mystery of MH70.
Oh,
right now.
yeah. There was a bit of talk about that. I haven't seen that documentary. I haven't even seen a trailer for it yet.
Yeah, I watched it. We can talk about it later if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Maybe we can talk about it during the weekly check-in, which will be after the show. We'll talk a little bit about our weeks, things happening, games coming up, etc., and then a little bit of injury time for anything extra we got. There will be a prize for the quiz. I'll explain it during the time. But for the quiz, just so everyone knows, there is an on-screen interactive quiz kit link you can use. It's a little plug-in on your screen on mobile. It's above chat. On desktop, it's on the screen. But we'll talk more about that when we get there. Let's get to our first topic of the day. Gary Lineker. Gary Lineker, football icon, host of the BBC's Match of the Day. I'm just going to read a little bit of a blurb that was released today by the BBC. Gary Lineker, he was reinstated to the BBC. He'll be covering this week's FA Cup quarterfinal clashes. The BBC is now going to launch an independent review of its social media guidelines. Although who will lead this review is yet to be revealed. It will place particular focus on how the guidance applies to freelancers outside the corporation's news coverage, like Lineker. He is a freelancer. BBC Director General Tim Davie has denied that he took the presenter off last week due to political pressure, saying no higher-ups getting involved there. Davie has also apologized for a quote-unquote difficult period for staff, contributors, presenters, and the audience following mass walkouts over the weekend, which we'll talk about, disrupting most of the BBC's normal football coverage. The head of BBC has also acknowledged gray areas in the current guidelines introduced in 2020. Gary Lineker has agreed to stick to the current guidelines while this review is carried out, but what will this mean in practice is not extremely clear. The Match of the Day host has taken to Twitter saying he is immeasurably proud to work for the BBC and thanked people for their support over the last few days. The BBC's football coverage will resume as normal this week, including earlier today's Scottish Cup, and there will also be a discussion about the position of BBC chair Richard Sharp. He's Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer has said his position in the BBC is becoming increasingly untenable. It's becoming political, basically. So Milo, I mean, you probably have a intimate relationship with Match of the Day, more so than me and Hoff. Maybe you can give a little insight into what Match of the Day means to the people, or in Britain.
Sure.
And a little bit about then we can talk about the repercussions after as well.
So yeah, I mean, like, definitely more intimate knowledge of Match of the Day and an intimate relationship with Match of the Day. Definitely not with Gary Lineker. That much is sure. However, I don't really have nothing against the big-eared twat. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, Match of the Day it's an institution, right? So every Saturday night in England, growing up, Match of the Day was must-watch TV. It was on at 10:30 at night, so it was after any of your sort of traditional Saturday night shows that I grew up with, like Knight Rider and Baywatch and stuff like that. Gladiators, all those good things. Match of the Day was on after all of that. So obviously I used to watch it every week. And my favorite times were when I was at my grandparents' house. My granddad worked an evening shift when he was still working then, obviously. And he would come home at about 10:15 and grab a beer, and we'd sit down and watch Match of the Day together. So that's my sort of my favorite memories. The theme tune's iconic. Everybody loves it. I seem to remember when when Lineker got the job of the main presenter. I remember it being a big deal, and some people were for it, some people were against it. But either way, he's been doing it a long time, and yeah, it's a long running show. So
yeah, absolutely. And Ian Wright, Alan Shearer, and a bunch of other presenters and interviewers, journalists, all kind of took a stand with Lineker, saying they weren't going to work, and there was a big walkout protest. Ian Wright and all these guys. Hoff, I don't know. What do you think about this whole situation?
I have a lot of thoughts. Actually, more than I thought I would before I started reading about like what the hell happened? Like, why did he get suspended or removed from the show? And just what's going on, like, politically, I guess. There's no other way to put it. So did you read the tweet? I'm sorry, that he put out.
What caused him to be Yeah. About the 1930s something.
Yeah. I just had it up. I didn't know if you had.
I didn't read it just now. No.
Whoops. I keep. Basically, he was criticizing proposed and current British and French, actually, policies toward refugees, Ukrainian refugees in particular. Just that, because that's the most recent refugee crisis that there is in Europe. Previously, it was like Syria, place like that. Anyways, he said that the language of the policies that they were introducing were not dissimilar to that used by Germany in the 30s. And I think I don't know if I believe the president when he said that there wasn't any political pressure in removing him. I don't believe that. To each their own. I think as far as someone shedding light on the policies themselves, and basically it's people that are like swimming the English Channel to get to England, and France and England are both saying, oh, we're not going to get them. No, we're not going to get them. So people are literally drowning trying to swim to freedom. It's much kind of, it happens between Cuba and Miami as well. So right. I'm not saying the U.S. is clean in any of this, but
right.
Yeah. It goes that side of it goes a little deeper too, because it's been going on for years.
Yeah.
When the Channel Tunnel was built, for example, migrants were using it to sneak across. There are, this is kind of off the Lineker topic and more to do with the broader migrant issue.
Right.
But which, I don't know how deep we want to go into that.
I don't know enough about it, but yeah.
But like my uncle, for example, truck driver, long distance. Imagine European Truck Sim. I've been playing that a lot this week, by the way.
Oh, nice.
I got it on the cheap. It's fabulous. My uncle was a long distance truck driver. We call it a lorry driver in the UK. He was having to defend himself from people wanting to migrate to England, where they were lining up at the border, breaking into their trailers, breaking into their cabs, trying to get across by any means necessary, including violence and threats and all the rest of it, right? So it's a massive issue. Lineker obviously is siding with the human rights side of things, which I get, and part of me can't help but think that it's part of his, public persona, doing the right thing, all that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, and then part of me is like how, it's a much deeper issue, is what I'm saying. There are many facets to it. And the specific case that he's talking about, I'm not intimately familiar with. I do think, as you said, Hoff, I think there's government pressure on the BBC. They're supposed to be impartial. That's the line that came from the government. What struck me today when I was thinking about this is, you know how a lot of celebrities or famous people, or even let's say let's say you worked for TalkSport, your new favorite show, right? In your header on Twitter, for example, you would have, thoughts and views are not those of my employer or something like that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You often see that in people's bios.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a sort of freedom to say what they want. Lineker, to be honest, he's always struck me as a BBC puppet a little bit,
Right.
I can't think of anything specific, but like, you know what I'm saying, right? Like it's an unusual situation, and everybody's taking a stand, and it's going to be one way or the other. And I'm not opposed to what he did. I think he should be able to say what he wants. I think anyone should be able to say what they want, and it shouldn't. Well, I was going to say within reason, but then I'm being hypocritical to what I just said. But like in terms of employment, life has changed. Social media is a massive part of your online persona, and employers and future employers look at what you say, look at what you post, and it can affect what you're doing. I think if you're in the public eye, you have to accept a measure of that as well.
Right. I was watching you know how in the U.S. Senate or whatever, Congress, they do these. The senators will interview like House, like other representatives. Like there'll be a row of senators, and they'll be kind of prosecuting either an expert or like a senator or a governor or somebody. And I watched this interview, and the question was posed regarding the topic of, I don't know, let's just say abortions, for example. And they would ask this senator about her tweets. They were asking her about her tweets, and her response to each time that she was questioned was, "That is my personal private Twitter account. It does not apply to my professional account." And he would ask another question, and then she would say, "This is my personal private Twitter account. It doesn't apply to my political nature or my profession or whatever. And it's an interesting phenomenon that's going to happen now, is this idea of your personal social media and your profession. Especially, I mean, Gary Lineker isn't a politician, but this lady was a politician. It's a little more extreme than Gary Lineker's situation, but it's even for politics, right? You're going to delve into that area when making judgments on people and stuff like that. And it's going to be really interesting how they navigate that and how the laws do, right? Because they mentioned in the BBC that they're going to, do a what's it called? An independent review of its social media guidelines, which will be very interesting because it'll really kind of set the tone for. It could set the tone for a lot of other countries as well, which will be interesting what comes out of that, because this is almost like it feels like I don't want to say the end of, because that's a little finite or extreme, but I feel like we're coming to the end of cancel culture almost. I don't want to say we're coming, it's over, because it'll probably happen, but like it feels like it's losing its power, it's losing its kind of gravitas, it's losing its impact as it
there
once
are
was.
Things you could do and say though that would instantly get you canceled, I think.
Right. But I think this is a step in the direction of going against being canceled type of thing. Like, I don't know, people, the workers taking a stand together and doing something is just a blatant pushback on being canceled. It's like it's not going to happen any other way.
That side of it,
together is the big word there.
Yeah.
Because if Shearer and Righty don't say that they're out too, Lineker probably doesn't have a job today.
Right, maybe.
And Hoff, that's the part of it that I like as well. Like I think it's great, but you know what that is, right? That's reminiscent of unions.
Yeah.
Where unions fight back, and the British government in particular hate unions, hate the idea of unions, abolished as many as they could in the 80s and 90s. And that's employers and governments don't like unions because they have power, the power of the collective employees. I think it's a nightmare for any employer. I'm sure this will all be over in a week or two, to be honest with you. And it wouldn't surprise me if their social media review is, because they can't muzzle them. They can't. They're public figures. They're going to post. Football is what they work in, and it's a sport that has news headlines every single day that they comment on, basically. You know what I mean? Like, I think that, plus multiple games a week as well to talk about. So I suspect we'll see more of a blanket statement on their bios that says thoughts and views don't represent my employer or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. I almost guarantee that can only be the outcome.
And another thing that comes to mind is I don't know if you're familiar. I'm not too familiar with him, but Kyrie Irving? Have you?
Yes.
Basketball player. He's been coming
Uncle
under
Drew.
a lot. He's been coming under a lot of heat for some of his takes, and he's been talking about how as a professional athlete, what is he allowed to do? What is he allowed?
Yeah.
There's a guy, Ja Morant. I don't know if you heard about him, but he's he's been going back to his hometown and taking pictures with guns and stuff like that, and
blew $100,000 at a strip club last week, I think.
Stuff like that. It's like as this once you get to a point of celebrity, like you have to be able to use your platform in a certain way. I think Aaron Rodgers is another one, right? He's like a little bit of a conspiracy guy as well. And
you have
I think
to accept though that you're going to be under more scrutiny than anybody else.
Yeah.
That's the path you chose, and it comes with the territory, and you have to be willing to accept that.
Right, but I think that's the risk they're taking it, but they're just getting shut down. They're getting either losing sponsors or just losing. They're just getting.
Yeah, but that's again what I mean. Like it comes a certain standard of public behavior comes with the territory.
Right. No, absolutely.
Like my job is very, it's management of people, so it's very bland and very blah, and no one will ever know and see me in action. Do you know what I mean? But when I am in action, I have to be quite diplomatic. I have to be very thoughtful about all the individual people I'm speaking to. It's no different for them. It's just they're speaking to everybody instead of a group of 20.
True.
And that is what they've signed up for. That, for me, I have little sympathy for, my ideal player at Arsenal, for example, is someone that comes in, does his job well, doesn't create waves outside of the club really, and whenever I see him on the pitch or in training, he's doing his thing. What he does in his personal life, I couldn't care less about.
So basically, you're saying you want Arsenal to go all in for Kyle Walker. That's basically what you're saying.
Definitely not. Kyrie Irving instead.
Gotcha.
Speaking of, did you know that Matthew Flamini is a billionaire?
I heard he'd been very successful, yeah.
When he was, I think it was when he was at Arsenal, or it may have been AC Milan. He started a biomedical company.
Oh, wow.
And they're valued at like multiple billions of dollars now.
Yeah.
Him and his brother. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Like, I didn't know. I was just reading about him, like, holy cow, that's great. Good for him.
No nonsense midfielder and no nonsense businessman. I like it.
There we go. Well, speaking of Arsenal, let's talk some Arsenal. Let's talk about the whole week real quick. In our chat beforehand, we didn't really talk about the whole week. Could we talk about the Sporting game a little bit? Good 2-2 draw, I thought, for you guys with a somewhat rotated squad. And there was one chance, I don't know if you saw that, Gabriel Martinelli run from inside his own half. He took it all the way down, and it was at the last second was tackled. It's pretty epic. I thought Martinelli at the 9 looks really good, Milo. I don't know what you think.
Yeah. I don't mind him at the 9, and I think, as we'll talk about with the Fulham game, it's the ability for him and Trossard to now swap around multiple times during the game, during a half of football. It's going to create havoc for defenses, I think, the more their partnership sprouts. And I think Martinelli's form, as we said, it might, with the arrival of Trossard, in my opinion, he seems to have really bucked up his ideas. Not that I thought he was playing terribly, but I thought compared to the start of the season, he'd fallen off a little bit. And that form has really come back now. I think it's hard to argue with that. So
it seems like off kind of at the cost of Nketiah a little bit, though, right?
A little, but I think Eddie knows. Like, Eddie's not an idiot,
right?
I think he knows where he is in the pecking order,
right.
And Trossard coming in, was it a gamble? I mean, we know he was great at Brighton. I think he's been even better at Arsenal, honestly, so far. And I think, I know the headline is trades for Trossard, but I mean, the Sporting game, good point. Good point. Good draw away from home. I was surprised at what a battle it became with, especially with Sebastian Coates. Is Sebastian his first name?
I think so. Yeah.
Coates, he's actually suspended for the second leg.
Oh, is he?
He is, yeah, due to the yellow card he got. He was really trying to mix it up in there, getting involved in every argument on the field, and it wasn't really a surprise when he got booked, I didn't think. But, I was somewhat happy with that result. Look, the Europa League for me right now, I don't know how they're talking about it within the club, but for me is just a bonus. I'm really not... I'll take it or leave it. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's something else I would much rather win, and I don't want the Europa to be a crux in that. Not that I think it will be, but I'd love to win it as well. I think any silverware is success. So,
well, the second leg will be at home next Thursday.
It will.
But yesterday, excuse me. You guys beat Fulham 3-0. Leandro Trossard with 3 assists in the first half. I think that's the first time that's happened by away from home for a player, I think.
Fabulous game for him. And again, I mean, we just touched upon it. I think the partnership that it's keeping Nketiah out the team. He's opting for Trossard in kind of a false 9 yesterday, which and him and Martinelli can switch. Yeah, because they're both naturally left-sided. I think there are going to be games, like I was reading a thing where Saka was kind of quiet yesterday. You know what? There are some games where the left are going to dominate. And I think with Martinelli and Trossard, it gives you two very, very dynamic players, both fast, both good in close quarters. I think it takes some of the pressure to perform off Saka as well, which I don't mind. If he has a quiet game and has more energy the next time out, then I think it's a good thing, you know?
Yeah. I think dynamic is the perfect way to describe him, you know?
Yeah.
Martinelli's pace and then Trossard's kind of, you know, technical ability is tough to deal with.
Yeah, I was listening to something this morning. They were talking about, you know, we talked about it in the January transfer kind of window. Like, is there, you know, sort of going through January transfers, Arsenal specific, this is, mind you, I don't want to we can get into everybody's eventually if you want at some point, but who's been sort of the most influential January transfers for Arsenal over the years? Jose Antonio Reyes actually springs to mind, RIP, but because we got him in January, kind of really helped push us to the title that year, just to give us that final boost that we needed. Yeah, Ober, Stefan, if Ober was a January signing, indeed, yeah, quite influential. I'm not so sure it worked out the same going back the other way in January.
Yeah.
But like...
Most effective overall, signing and release,
yeah,
you know?
I think Trossard, you know, I was thinking again, you know, in preparation for this topic in particular, obviously it was Mudryk and we ended up with Trossard, right? And it was Casido and we ended up with Jorginho. And there was two ways to look at it. And at the time, I was probably more antsy about it being the older guys and the more established guys. But now, for this season's context, I think it's probably the perfect move.
Right.
Especially when you look at what's happening with Mudryk. You know, maybe you drop him in this Arsenal team and he plays better. It's a system that Arteta is very adamant on playing. He knows exactly what he wants each guy to do. I don't know that Chelsea's in that position yet.
Yeah.
Where they know exactly what the system is. Maybe someone from Chelsea can comment, but
yeah, we'll talk Chelsea a little bit. Yeah,
for sure. But you know what I mean. Like I think now that I think back, I think Trossard was a much better move for now. And I don't know, long term we won't know, right? Until Mudryk is established and we'll see. Maybe he'll fire them to all sorts of glory in 3 years' time. But for now, I think it is a great signing, and he's really showing it.
Yeah. He adds the right amount of kind of pressure to competition for places, right? Competition for places is really important.
Which is what I wanted, yeah. And Smith Rowe coming back is only adding to, you know.
And another return was Jesus returned. When Jesus was injured, you guys were 5 points clear. And he's come back, and you guys are 5 points clear still. You know, so it's job done as far as that goes. You know, that whoever was saying that this is the end of the season for them, Jesus injury, blah blah blah. Clearly not. Clearly, you guys have dealt with it very well.
It could have been. It definitely could. It could have been, because he was, again, not the goals notwithstanding. Everybody in that team has scored except for, I was reading this earlier, Tomiyasu. No, somebody. There's one player in that starting 11 at the weekend that hasn't scored. Anyway, everybody else has scored. We've got goals throughout the team, and that attacking unit is just, it's brimming. And it's brimming with confidence. It's creating a lot of stuff. Odegaard is, I mean, for me, I think he's been phenomenal. Yeah.
Great goal he scored for the third goal. Assisted by Trossard.
Yeah, he did.
It was a pretty good goal.
So Jesus coming back it's his work rate is what I was getting at. You know, like what he does. Even yesterday, he came on. He was getting back deep in our half. He won the ball a couple of times off their midfield. He's still getting involved up front. He had a chance at a goal, which really I think Bernd Leno should have just let that one go in. You know, what was Leno doing saving that? Really? You know, like I feel like 3-0 down, Jesus coming back. You used to be a gooner. You should probably just let that one in for the old confidence, you know?
Yeah, you could see the rust though on that finish. He looked a little.
Yeah.
His head was way ahead of his body there. It felt like.
Yeah, but I thought his movement. I thought he looked sharper than I would have expected. But Arteta said we are not bringing him back until he's ready. So we have to assume if he came on, he's ready.
Yeah.
Based on what they've told him.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
other talking point about Arsenal. Since the City game, you guys have won 5 in a row. It's pretty good. Pretty good response.
Can't ask for a better response, really. Like right now, I've been one game at a time all season long, as you guys know. Every time we've spoken about it, I've been let's just. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't have my eyes on that City away game. That's earmarked for me as, if we win that game, if we've got a win there, I mean, then I'd be saying something. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's
a 5-win streak, maximum points, 15 points since that loss. Perfect response.
Yeah.
Cities, but the gap is still the same now. Like, it was 1 week later, it was 5 points again with the game in hand as well. City is still right there. Like, let's not twist it, not get it twisted. But
yeah, we'll talk a little City later as well. But yeah, they're close. They're getting close. Before the City game, you guys drew to Brentford, lost to Everton. So yeah, you're coming off a couple bad results, but then you put it back together. And coming up, you have Sporting, Palace, Leeds, and then Liverpool at the end of the next week.
But we've got an international break in there, right?
International break, and then these games, yeah.
So the break is going to be good, I think. Although I don't think Saka will get rested, which is kind of a shame, because I think he'll play for England. But maybe Southgate will experiment. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, I fully expect Saka to play in England's games, regardless of whether he needs rest or not. But yeah, it's been a good response. There's that international break. I'm looking forward to that.
Someone who's not going on the international break for you guys is your center back, Brazilian center back Gabriel Malagues. I don't know. Malagues. He's been doing pretty good for you guys this year. One of your better. You mentioned might be the best offensive center back in the league, or
this season.
This season, okay.
I don't know the stats. I'm not saying overall. So he has 3 goals along with Van Dijk, and there's one other.
Okay.
I forget who. Ben, is it me?
Ben me?
Not me. Not me. But like, yeah. So they have 3 goals apiece. But here's the thing. I know that Gabriel, sometimes people question him defensively. He plays very, very passionately. He's given away some costly fouls and penalties. Not many, but he has given away some costly stuff. Seems to get very invested. But offensively, he is a massive threat from set pieces. And yeah, I mean, he scored some really important. Those 3 goals have all been important, whether it's to kickstart a game or to equalize in a game. You know what I mean? They're important goals. Yeah, and Saliba, like yesterday, Saliba was phenomenal in defense. So
yes,
together they can work like that. You know what I mean? I just think, yeah, he's probably in the shout for among, if not the. We'll see how we go the rest of the season, but yeah, he's got to be up there for one of the most effective centre backs in an offensive situation at the moment.
Yeah, I saw Saliba. He dribbled into Fulham's half at one point, and took a shot, nearly made it. It was pretty. The center backs have a lot of freedom in that system, right? So. Especially when teams drop back and park the bus against Arsenal, you find them going forward quite a bit. Another thing, another thing that pops into mind about this Arsenal team is, you kind of mentioned it, how at first you wanted Caicedo and you wanted Mudryk, etc. Do you think? Like we talk about it sometimes, but how satisfying is it that all these signings are kind of coming together now? Like these last couple of years of like maybe not the most flashy signings, just kind of chugging away, challenging for Champions League, not quite getting there, and kind of, I don't know where you finished before last season. I can't remember. It was outside of the European, it was 8th place, right? So you're really seeing the progress, and I think that's one of the things that really, as much grief that the Arsenal fans on Twitch give me, you know, I'm happy for this aspect of it because it really does give hope to a lot of teams, right? That if you have a process and you have a right mentality, and obviously like Brighton, everyone's kind of snatching up all their players, but like if you can withstand that type of thing, you can build something. And now look at you, you know, you're challenging for a title in the span of 3-4 years. Obviously you had great youth products as well, but it's got to be pretty satisfying, obviously from Arsenal's perspective, but I think from the league perspective, you're kind of probably the neutral's favorite right now.
At the moment, I would say so, yeah. And this has been the dream since the stadium move. Right. So when we moved to the Emirates, the way the stadium deal was structured, most teams don't do that now. Just the way that was structured made it very difficult financially for Wenger. And like him or loathe him for the last 10, 12, 15 years that he was there, you know, he kept us in the Champions League. He did do enough to keep the money coming in, right? And the goal was to recruit smartly. You know, kind of, he brought in players, you know, like he did originally when he brought in Thierry Henry. Everyone was like, well, I don't know about this guy, you know, and then look what happened, right? So they felt like they were always chasing that after that. With the odd big spending, like we might not spend much at all for 2 windows, and then we bought Ozil. You know what I mean? Like out of nowhere, that one. And anyway, the dream was, I think, always to have youth players supplemented with quality at the right price. Now, the Cronkies have come in. They've seen us finish 8th twice, I think. You know, the fans have been Cronky out. Right now, that crowd is very quiet. Right? When you're top of the league and things are going well, all of a sudden your detractors disappear.
AFTV
right?
ratings in the mud as well, right? No,
AFTV ratings in the mud. No. Yeah, I've always ignored them anyway, thankfully. But it's I think what you're seeing is a continuation of that process with a little bit more money spent. I think if you looked at Arsenal's transfer spendings, they're definitely much higher than they would have been during Wenger's years, or since stadium bill. What was that buzz? I heard a buzz.
That was a crazy sound. Oh my god, I'm sorry, chat. That was loud as hell in my ears.
Was that you?
The end of this timer, there's a buzz, there's a foghorn that went off.
Oh shit, that was for the timer. Okay, I'll wrap it up then. That was come on. Yeah.
No,
it's
like
fine. It's like being at the Oscars, you know, when they're doing their speech.
Yeah.
And the music starts playing.
Speaking of,
so anyway, I think it's a continuation of that process. The club is still doing the same thing, but it's youth mixed with a little bit more money, because I think you're what you're competing against is so good. And you know, you're looking at City, they're right there, as we've said. The way I look at it right now is City are kind of strolling along like they do, right, towards the title, just strolling along. They're in the mix. They're perfectly capable of winning it. I feel like Arsenal's run right now is a bit up and down, not massive dramatic ups and downs that we've seen in the past, but a very, you know, it's solid, and then with a little dip there and then back up again. But it's got more I think it's got more drama. Maybe that's just because I'm more involved in it. You know what I mean? It feels like more of a emotional drama, but that's probably because I'm an Arsenal fan.
And it's also fresh. You know, we're used to seeing City up there. City players are used to being up there. You know, it's there's something more. You know, like I mean, in October I remember I watched the Arsenal game. There was this energy around it, and it was just palpable. It's cool to see.
The Zinchenko Jesus effect again there. It's unmeasurable.
Yeah,
because Zinchenko, I think, is a driving force behind a lot of that mentality that you're seeing right now.
Right. Yeah. Well, looking forward to Arsenal's. I think you guys play Palace on the weekend after Betis. It'll be interesting how you guys rotate, and it's a tight. You know, you never know.
We, as Arsenal fans, we want Palace to stay up, right?
Right.
But they need to start performing.
Yeah, they do.
They're in trouble.
They have,
but we're like,
no
can you
shots
just wait
in their
till
last 3 games or something.
3 games, yeah. So can you just wait till after this weekend, though?
Who was the last team to do that?
I have no idea. They're playing worse than Roy Hodgson's Palace right now.
Who was the last team half?
It was Nuno's Spurs.
I was going to say it was
no.
Tottenham, but then I thought
yeah.
you'd be insulted, and I was like,
no, after his Manager of the Month award.
Oh no. Alrighty, well, moving on to Manchester United. Manchester United played Betis midweek and Southampton more recently yesterday. 4-1 win over Betis. Nice response after that Liverpool 7-0. I thought it was good. I believe we went down as well, 1-0 from an Ayoze Perez goal, but we fought back. He tied it up after a Rashford goal. 1-1, and then good response. Wout Weghorst finally getting his goal. It was just an all around good day, good response. It wasn't the best performance still, but Weghorst, I don't know if you saw his goal celebration. It was almost like, have you seen that celebration of Ruud van Nistelrooy that they had in all the trailers where he's like, with eyes closed, and he's like fist together? Have you seen that? No, maybe. It was like that moment for Wout Weghorst. Anyways, so a good response there. 4-1 win. We go away to Betis and try to get to the next round. Should be straightforward. But the big match was this weekend. Southampton. I'm happy with the 0-0 at the end of the day. I thought we would have eventually got the goal, but we weren't playing convincingly. Big decisions, as you can see. Anthony Taylor in the picture there, showing a red card to Casemiro. Tough one to take after these types of decisions sometimes are given, aren't given. I'm sure you guys have seen it, hopefully. I personally am okay with it being given because that is technically a red card offense, going a little recklessly in, high on the shin. Interesting fact about Casemiro is he's played over 500 games in the Champions League and La Liga, and he's gotten 2 red cards in his last 3 matches at United. Never carded before that, never sent off before that. What are your thoughts about the red card, Hoff? What?
I just seeing it like live action, like, oh, he got the ball, oh, he didn't get the ball, but then you see the replays and everything. I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, I can definitely see how that's a red. I can I guess understand the argument, like make it a yellow or whatever, but I still think at the end of the day that's a red.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like you can't fly in like that. Even getting the ball or not. That's yeah.
It's the frustrating part about it is there was I didn't even have to go that far back to search for other incidences of this happening. There was an incident of Ricardo Pereira last week against Chelsea, goes in way high on João Felix, and nothing given there. I think maybe a yellow given. And then there's another clip. I don't know. It's obviously these are all still images, but there's a still image of Van Dijk going in on somebody. There's a clip of Saka going in on someone at Everton, I believe, going in high, going in studs up, and obviously nothing being given, which is what is the frustrating part about it, right? It's not so much, okay, red card was given, it warrants a red card, but the frustrating part. And what the Manchester United manager mentioned, he who must not be named, he said it's consistency. The players are frustrated. They don't know what to do. Almost, they're being told this is not a red card. They're watching maybe Ricardo Pereira make that challenge on Felix. No card. Okay, then I think okay. I mean, I can go on a little bit, and they're not going to call it, or I'm watching this film and seeing that they're not calling it. That I'll go in for a tackle. And to be fair, I don't think there was any. Honestly, I don't think there was any malice or anything, obviously, from Casemiro. But that's not the issue, really. You can't interpret intent, right? That's not what it's about. It's about what actually happens. So I'm completely okay with it being called. But it's the consistency, Milo, and I think you're also. I think we're all on board with this consistency thing now. It's like
We want to see consistency for sure. I think what I would like to think, and what I don't know, I can only assume that, being intelligent people that work in football, they will review, they'll sit in training and look at red card situations. Like, I hope at some point somebody sat down with Granit Xhaka and said, okay, let's look at this incident. Yeah, it was on the fence, but this is why you got sent off. Whether it's consistent or not, this is why you got sent off, right? So from a learning point of view, what you would do, what I would do is, if we get into a situation that's shitty, I often look at things as like, what can I do? What could I have done different to change the outcome? Right. So I would hope that Granit Xhaka at some point, and he's in his new role, I don't know if you've noticed, but he's not getting sent off anywhere near with as much frequency. I think if Casemiro looks at that incident with the Man United staff or whatever, and they say, what could you have done differently to take that inconsistency away, is keep your foot down under the ball, like aim in under the ball, not towards the top of the ball. I guess it's difficult. It's a split-second thing. I'm not saying it would be easy, but that's what he could have done different, and it probably wouldn't have ended up that way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he definitely could have challenged differently, but it's when you watch games and you see crazy, other challenges not get called, you think, if I lightly go in here, knee bent, pulling away out of the challenge almost, I feel like I could, there's no complaints. It's just one day it's given, one day it's not given, right? So that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, if it's, and he is. I mean, it's basically aggressive players and strong players or whatever, tacklers, contact players, are slowly just going to be removed from the game. Which is what happened in the NBA as well. It's just, you're just slowly going to see these types of players slowly ironed out of the game.
Same with the NHL and the enforcer role, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
it's
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I think the beautiful tackle could still be there, right? If
Absolutely.
Casemiro had gone in with his foot was down and he'd won that ball and he it went through the player, but it was not studs up into the ankle or whatever, and the tackle was deemed clean, we would have been like, what a beautiful challenge, like fans of defending and fans of tackling would have been like, what a great tackle, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
yeah.
The difference between what a great tackle and, oh my god, his poor leg,
Right.
it's a fucking fine line,
Yeah.
they're riding, and at speed, add in speed and conditions and split second stuff, like then you get that area where shit happen.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, from the consistency standpoint, all we could ask is that the FA and the Referees Association come out and say, okay, from this point forward, just so you know, if your foot goes over the ball, doesn't matter if it comes off the top of the ball and your studs into someone's knee, it's going to be a red. Then that gives the players something to think about, right? Like,
right.
A clear instruction that every time this will be a red if that happens, studs up into an ankle or a knee, that's deemed dangerous. Like, yeah, it's a tricky one, but I don't know if we'll ever see them come out and say that, but it doesn't help their case that two incidents in the same weekend could have been interpreted differently.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, I always talk about this, and it's just you call it strict. If you just call it strict, you have more likelihood of getting consistency. Obviously, there'll probably be some gray areas with that as well, but you just decrease the gray area. You just say you can't go studs up, with a straight leg or something. If you can't make contact with a player studs up on any part of their leg, and you see, I mean, you just, if you just like the World Cup with the extra time, right? You say, we're gonna add all the extra time on at the end. You can do whatever you want. We're gonna add it on. If you can do whatever you want. You go up into attack. You go into a tackle with your studs up towards a player's foot. You make contact with their foot. It's there was again. Did you hear that by any chance?
Did, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Only slightly this time.
Okay, good. It wasn't as loud. But yeah, let's put a pin in that. I don't know, Hoff, if you have anything else to add to that before we keep moving on to the other decision in this game.
I don't understand why Juzzy said you can't complain about consistency. The referee has 2 chances to make up for a bad call, or not normalize, like make a call as it should be. He has a chance to make it in the first place, and he has a chance when someone's telling him to look at it again to fix it, or not, up to him. But saying we can't complain about it is not entirely true. It's just like, oh well, fuck that up. You can't. Right. No, that's not the case.
I saw the aftermath of that one. Did he look at the monitor for that car, or was that just a in-game decision?
He did look at the monitor. He did.
Okay.
And they obviously they show him the stills, the slow motion, etc.
He wasn't there for that long.
Yeah, it was a short.
Your game was on at the same time as the Arsenal game, so
yeah, I had the Arsenal game on as well, but after you guys went up, I stopped watching.
Yeah,
it was just. Anyways, okay. Next decision. I don't know if you guys saw this. Let's try to throw them both into the same category here. There was a big handball decision that now basically everything from this point on is United down to 10 men, counterattacking, basically pretty much in control. It was a pretty good end-to-end game, despite going down to 10 men. Rashford plays the ball across the box to in the Weghorst's direction. Bella Kotchap goes down kind of with his arm, and the ball hits Bella Kotchap. It could have hit his... It looked like it hit his arm. It almost looked like, he just kind of dove down onto the ball and kind of misjudged the timing of where the ball was. And it was deemed a no call by the ref. Dermot Gallagher, the Sky Sports referee analysis, I don't know if you saw this, he came out and said that it clearly hits his thigh first and his chest first or something. Chest first. And that's why it wasn't given. But I don't know. To me, it was sketchy. It was very sketchy. And obviously, we're chatting in Discord or whatever when these decisions are going on, and I'm really trying to keep my unbiased hat on here. Like, I'm trying so hard to see it as not a handball that I really confuse myself to the point. I mean, obviously I'll say that's a handball or whatever, but in my mind I'm like, was it a handball? Like, was it not? Was it? And I can understand why it wasn't given, but it feels like it should have been called. I don't know if you guys saw that one, that handball decision.
I did, and for me it was a penalty. I think it was a handball. Regardless of chest, I mean, it's all there, and you're blocking a pass across. And I'm sensitive to this as well, because against Bournemouth, we talked about it last week. We had 4 handballs, 4 potential handballs in that game, and they're on the fence, and I'm being told, well, it was above the sleeve. Go fuck yourself. Like, sleeve lengths can be different. Like, that's just dumb. And again, the reason they changed the handball rules is because of confusion. Now we're back to confusing again. Like, they need to stamp this out immediately, because it is absolutely ridiculous. Like, that guy, to me, blocked a pass across. If that was Arsenal, I would 100% want a penalty for that.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the only thing that's come out of this, which I've seen on Twitter, and I shouldn't go on Twitter because it gets my blood pressure up, is this narrative that United fans there are certain United fans. I'm not looking at you, Cart, but there are certain United fans complaining about how they get nothing by the refs, and I want to be like, get fucked. You had 20 years of Fergie time. Like, I don't want to hear about that. Like that's just not even. We'll call that swings and roundabouts for 20 years of good behavior. Plus, I was at the game where you guys basically assaulted Jose Antonio Reyes. May he rest in peace. But yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, that's just my little 2 cents on that. But for me, it was a penalty. Yeah,
for me, it was a
penalty. Half, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I agree. I think it is. I don't remember this last year, like this phenomenon of defenders with their arms on the ground, and this one's a little different. But their arms on the ground and just being in uproar, like, oh, that's a handball. Like, no, he was supporting himself. That's not a handball. Like, I don't. Did the rules change in that regard about hands being on the ground between last season and this season? Because I can think of like at least 4 or 5 instances of that could have been a handball, but his hand was on the ground. He was bracing himself. Even if it's unnatural, it's just weird, a weird phenomenon.
Maybe it's like a side product of the fact that, you know, you have to keep your arms in an, you know, you can't make your body unnaturally bigger, right? So that's becoming a thought in Japan, and they're falling at weird angles now, and they're having to support their body in different ways now. Maybe, I don't know. They're losing balance because they have to keep their arms, you know, tucked in or whatever. Maybe that's why they're going down, and we're seeing more supporting the body on the ground type of decisions. But Belakotchap clearly reads the ball wrong. He goes down. It is a weird situation. You know, clear and obvious, right? That's the whole thing. It has to be both, and maybe it wasn't as obvious in the short amount of time that they look at things. But yeah, very frustrating. Very frustrating.
Consistency. That's another consistency decision, and we see it. Like, only they can fix that.
Yeah, sure.
But then again, it doesn't mean we'll all agree with their new definition if they change it. You know what I mean? Like, we still might be up in arms about it. Like, well, that's bullshit. That should be a handball.
Right. And last one, real quick. We talked a lot about this one in Discord. The Marcus Rashford coming together with Bazuna. Okay, so I've had a lot of time to not only discuss this one with people, but there was basically a situation where Rashford was running inside the box. Bazuna comes off of his line, slides. You know how kind of goalkeepers slide in a little bit, and they kind of, you know, he kind of puts his arms away like, oh, I'm not going to touch him. I'm not going to touch him. Rashford goes down because of this happening, and there's a no call. All right. So basically what happens is I can definitively take a stand. Definitively take a stand on the fact that it was not a dive. A lot of people online are saying it was a dive. If you're sprinting full speed and you're as fast as Marcus Rashford and your focus is fully on the ball, right? You're just honed in fully on the ball. You take a small touch away from the goalkeeper. You think you've got around him. And then all of a sudden, your left leg, for some reason, moves to the right and hits the back of your right leg. You're going to go down. It's very difficult to stay on your feet at that point. Now, people are saying he over-exaggerated the contact. In my opinion, there's a big runoff at Old Trafford, and if you don't try to stop yourself, you're just going to go flying into the stands, into the board. Like, you really have to stop yourself before you, because you'll pick up speed when you go downhill as well.
Sorry, I got a laugh at that.
And so basically, what happens is, okay, and I think there is, as minute as the contact is, okay, as minute as it is. The goalkeeper comes off of his line, slides into the path of Rashford, clips his left foot. The left foot then trips, forces Rashford to trip onto himself. We see these given a lot, right? And even in situations where the player kicks the ball 20 yards out of his playable range and the goalkeeper takes the player out, you see those given, even if the ball is way out of the player's ability to play the ball. You also see them not given, right? Which is what happened in my opinion. But I just want to debunk the idea that he dove, because he did not dive. And I want to say that it is a grounds for a penalty, because in the rules it says careless. It's a careless challenge by the goalkeeper. He did not care about touching Rashford or not. He did touch Rashford. That's on the grounds of careless, and he clips him and he goes down. But yeah. So first, I just want to say, did not dive. Second of all, grounds for a penalty. Understandable that it's not given. I'll just say that, because these days we don't know what's going to be given.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in agreement with some of what you said. I think that the speed that Rashford's running has to be taken into account. I do. Obviously, every ref's different. I do believe, and again, I think it will be some refs. I do believe if that had been at the top of the penalty area, and Rashford knocks it 1 or 2 yards past him, and he's guaranteed to just tap it in, I I almost guarantee that would have been given as a penalty. I think, and I think the contact is there. I do think we should have some contact allowed, as long as it's not a foul, right? And that's where it's kind of the ref's judgment. Did he look at the video for this, the monitor as well? Was this another monitor look at? He didn't. Okay, so that's
VAR checked it. I think VAR missed the contact.
Okay, and that's maybe we've seen VAR miss plenty of things, and we've sat here in amazement about it many times this season already, right?
Yep.
We've seen them not draw the lines, for example, on an offside call. There's many things wrong with VAR, but like the keeper does come out. I watched it again today, Cart, because I knew we were going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And like I see him put his arms up. You know, he does the "I'm pulling out" thing, right? Maybe there's an argument that his legs, the momentum of his legs was happening anyway. So that it wasn't purposeful, which means, is it a foul?
It's careless.
Can you accidentally bring someone down? Yes. I mean, there's a lot of great, I can understand why it's not given personally.
I can understand. I mean, I think they're thinking that Rashford is trying to avoid the goalkeeper and trips himself. I don't think they're seeing that. There's still frames, right? We love still frames. The referees love still frames. There's still frames of actual contact, which at first the angle they showed was kind of from the side view, right? You're looking, Rashford's in front, Bazuna's behind, and you can't really see that contact. When they showed the other angle after the whole VAR check, they showed another angle, and in that angle you can, if you have to slow it down, but you can see the contact better there. I just think they didn't look at that angle, because with VAR, these are the kind of calls that should be called. If there's contact like that, it should be called. But yeah, but I get what you're saying. If it's at the top of the box, you know, and it looks like he's, you know, the ball's clearly in play for him to get to.
I can certainly not this season, but I know I'd have to trawl for the clip. But I know there's one where Martinelli knocked it past the keeper, was brought down by the keeper, and nothing was given but a goal kick.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see these situations. I actually tried to look for situations where these are given, and I think it just happens. So, like, for example, Mbappe, right? It's with these, Martinelli's quick too, right? It's with these fast guys that these are the situations that happens. Every player is not as quick as Rashford, and I'm not even, you know, Rashford has great straight line speed, so it's like, you know, these are special scenarios, right? You get thrown off balance really easily, and you got to go down. But yeah, I don't know, Hoff, if you ever,
yeah, go on, Hoff, fire away.
Not always. That's the wrong word. I normally side with the goalkeepers.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just the physical abilities of these guys, the speed of the game. It's hard.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's and that's the thing. It's like these guys train, right? They lift weights, they run, they work on their cardio. You know, Rashford focuses on his speed probably in training and in the off season for moments like this, to touch the ball past the goalkeeper faster than the goalkeeper can get to the ball. And you know, now if you believe he dove, that's one thing, but it's pretty clear that he was clipped. His leg moves to the left, to the right, and trips himself up, which, you know, it'll look like that's a, you know, a dive or whatever. I don't know if you saw that Fabio Vieira situation, Milo. He literally tripped himself, and the ref gave a free kick to Arsenal.
I did see that, and I was like, yeah, I mean, that one there was. What do you do? Like, as the Arsenal player, do you think if it had turned around and said no, like the ref would have given it the other way?
You take it. You take it.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's anything bad.
I did laugh. It did make me laugh, but I was also quite glad that we didn't score off that.
True. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if we'd have floated that into the box and got a goal off it, I would have felt a little bit cheeky. But because I like the fact that we're the club that did a replay in the FA Cup against Sheffield United all those years ago, because we, you know, it's a gentleman's rule that you throw the ball back to your opponent, and it got thrown back, and the Sheffield United defender missed it, and Kanu ran onto it, and put it away.
Oh yeah.
And that game went on to the final whistle, and then Wenger said, "No, we will replay it." I can't think of another club in history that have done that, and I always took pride in that. You know, I liked that we did that.
Yeah.
You never see that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Here, let's just catch up on a little bit of chat before we move on here. Some nice little. We'll get to the Barcelona stuff in a couple sections here.
Sorry about that.
No problem. There will be no penalty if the ball touches a player's hand, arm immediately from their own head, body, foot, or head, body, foot of another player. A player is falling, touches their hand, arm that is between their body and the ground. So I think that's like a deflections, right? Like remember the Scotty McTominay handball a couple months ago, where the ball kind of flew down and it bounced off of his chest and then bounced off both of his arms, right? So I think that's what Jesse's pointed out there, something similar to that. Ref is supposed to determine if there are sufficient force to create the fall that was shown. So any embellishments of a small contact puts you at risk of the ref thinking you're conning for one. It's a judgment call. Okay, I get you. I just think they didn't see the contact. They could have thought that maybe Rashford is just trying to avoid Bazuna and trips himself, but there's actual contact, which I feel like they haven't seen it. Let's see what else. Casemiro knows great. Okay, thank you. Yes. The other sign of a true professional is how convincingly they go down on contact. Cause you to learn that in Sunday League. Who is teaching those classes? I mean, yeah.
All forwards embellish when they go down.
And if they're quick, they go down easier. And they're quick and light, right? If they're quick and light, they go down easily. Let's keep moving along, though.
For that contact, though, you know, like you have to wonder: did Rashford know he'd knocked it too far, and then he felt the contact and was like, "Yes," and he kind of went down like that, you know?
Well, I don't know if you, I don't know I don't know. You can that's winning a foul, right? You do that in anywhere on the pitch. But yeah, I guess giving a PK is a little more difficult. Anyways, United didn't get over the line 0-0. We dropped 2 points. Boo-hoo, you know. Back to response mode. We want a response mode. Let's move on to Spurs and some other PL matches, big matches. Harry Kane scored twice, as well as Heung-min Son, after a comfortable victory over Nottingham. That's after the midweek match against AC Milan. I thought that was a pretty good game, actually. Somewhat. I thought it was a pretty good game. It was 0-0. It ended 0-0, I think. You guys went out 1-0. But Antonio Conte has now failed to win a Champions League knockout game for over a decade. His last win was against Celtic on the 6th of March, 2013. And in that time, he's managed Juventus, Chelsea, Inter Milan, and now Spurs. Bummer for you guys to get knocked out. I thought you guys played some decent stuff, to be honest. I don't know. Richarlison with some choice words after the game. What are your thoughts on all that, Hoff?
I thought the Milan game was just boring. I mean, Milan weren't that good, and we didn't really challenge. Kane had a header late, and that was it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily disagree with Richarlison. It's like, oh, I've been playing well, I've been training well. I had 2 or 3 games of really good form, and then I get benched, basically. And he's like, I know this season has been. He said, I know my season has been shit. Like he's owning up to the fact he's not performing to how he should be, and like Conte did start. He started early, and then he got hurt right before the World Cup, or sorry, not right before, a little earlier. Played decently well in the World Cup, and then he got hurt when he came back from the World Cup again. So it's just injuries, and for some reason, I'll never know. I will never know this reason unless the man puts it in his autobiography. I don't know why Conte, before this game, I don't know what, even after, not AC, after the Forest game, I don't know why he keeps putting Sun in the starting lineup.
Sonny.
Because Perisic has absolutely killed that guy's ability to create and score just because they operate in the same spaces. And Perisic is normally the one that's more assertive, and he'll carry the ball just right past. And Sun doesn't really go to the middle to create. Like he'll pass and then make moves around, but he doesn't like try to dribble through three guys in the middle. He'll do it on the wing. But yeah, for some reason or another, Sun has been undroppable. I don't know if he's trying to get him to play into form. Well, Watch wanted to talk to me. It's a little late for that now. But Richarlison started on Saturday and he looked great. He was the best player we had, I thought.
He had another disallowed goal for close
scored,
offside.
And with a purple offside line, that was fun to see.
I did have to laugh at that.
Yeah.
A little bit, just because it was like Richarlison moans publicly about playing time. Conte moans back at Richarlison. Richarlison scores and does the shush thing, and then it was disallowed. I was like, that's pretty funny.
You knew it was. It was in the script. It was in the script.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was a nice goal. Good ball from Skip, and like it was literally, it couldn't have been more than 2 inches, 3 inches. The distance between the offside line that they drew and the one, I mean, literally on the picture, it is purple because the blue and the red are on top of each other.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
I see these guys don't like Sun. You would have loved him last year when he won the Golden Boot. But anyways.
Do you think half that there's an element of like, Son is 30, right? Kane is 29. He's 30 in July, I think I read this week.
Yeah.
So like, I think personally, I think Tottenham should be doing everything they can to sell those two for as much money as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of building for the future, like if no offense. Well, actually, some offense, but if United are willing to pay if United are willing to pay 100 million for Harry Kane, for example, you should snap your arm off.
I would.
Like
I'm not Daniel Levy.
No, I know. It's just I don't think paying 100 mil for a 30-year-old should be on anyone's.
Who would be coming up in the
card.
last year of his contract too.
Only someone with unlimited resources would ever consider that anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that move personally.
Like, would he have a good season or two? I think he probably would. I think Son could go to France or Germany. I think he could still produce at a high level for a couple of years. I mean, look, Son was a player that I think last year's wrap up, I said many times, he's the one player you guys had that I would take out of your team in a heartbeat and take. Again, dynamic, able to cut inside, that inverted winger. Rocket of a shot as well. Like all that has stopped. So you watch the team far more closely than me. Believe me, I don't watch a lot of Tottenham games. Usually 2 a season. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's definitely, like you're not seeing that. So if you're saying it's to do with the space that he would normally operate in is being taken up by another player, that makes a lot of sense to me as someone that doesn't watch them. Because how can his production just drop off like that? Now, partly age, partly the system. I think there's a lot of factors, right?
Yeah, I think Perisic is the biggest one, just because they really do operate in the same areas. And Perisic, as good of a wingback as he is, I don't think his wingbackiness is made for the English game. If that makes sense.
He's lost
like
his
in
pace.
Italy, and he has. Yeah, he absolutely.
He's lost his pace.
Yeah, but it's also age. It's also like he played in the World Cup. He didn't play all of the games because they got knocked out in the groups, but he also had. I think it was it right before? I forget which game it was. It was before the World Cup when he broke his face. Like. If I'm playing striker, like that plays with your mind. I'm not not making excuses. But it's in the back of your head.
It literally plays with your mind.
It really does. But I mean, I would always be thinking about that. Like, oh, I'm not gonna go up for this one. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird situation. I don't think you sell him. I think you give him one more year to find out. I don't know if Levy pulls the trigger. I don't know who would be interested, honestly, at this point. Last year, he could have gone almost anywhere he wanted if he wanted to go. And now I don't know there will be no club that would match what Levy would want for him. I'll put it that way.
Okay, look, I know we're talking a lot of doom and gloom about Spurs here, but they did win. They're comfortably in 4th place right now. Okay, it's not all going to, it's not all going bad. But I do wonder. Okay, so what is the like Milo was mentioning? If you're Spurs, you're trying to sell Kane and Son for the most amount of money. Who's coming up behind them, right? What is the team without them? Who else? Perisic is old.
Richarlison right now. How old's Richarlison?
Richarlison's coming through.
Holberg
has more years. Bentancur has more years, right? It's just these. It seems like Lloris, Kane, Son, Perisic. Those are your oldest players, right?
Yeah.
I would be worried. Big picture. I'd be a little concerned with what is Levy's plan regarding, like, if you don't get top 4. Right, the rebuild becomes harder because you don't have the Champions League to offer perhaps a younger player that you might spend the money on if you sold Kane and Son. Right, so there's problem one. If you make the Champions League, then does Levy, etc., decide, well, we got to keep Kane and Son because we're going to be in the Champions League next year.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And then you hold on to them for another year, and then they're another year older, and their value comes down even more. And who knows? Kane's been relatively injury-free in his career. What if he got hurt? Yeah. It takes longer to recover as you get older. Yada yada yada.
If he doesn't sign an extension before this summer window, I think he's going to leave on a free after next season. You
guys got to a Champions League final. You didn't really compete for a Premier League in this window, I don't think. But I feel like this era of Tottenham is coming to an end. I'm not trying to be mean. I mean, I'm just being realistic.
It is, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not gonna lie. I think Conte's play style adds to this ease in which we just I can bash Spurs. And it's not. They haven't won anything, and they keep disappointing, and they play Conte ball now. It's so hard not to just be a bit of a doomer about it. And man, I asked you last week, and I'm still flabbergasted. Like, how did you become a Spurs fan? It blows my mind. Like, was it Dempsey and all these guys? I don't know.
No, it was before that. Times are much brighter than mid table, but there weren't expectations like there are now, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with expectations. If you build a $1 billion stadium, you should have expectations to fill that fucker every game and put an entertaining team out in front of the fans every single game.
Build a go-kart track underneath it.
Hell yes, bring the money in. Put Beyonce out there to sing the halftime show.
I respect that. Yeah, because Spurs we're barely we're challenging for like kind of top 6.
It was UEFA Cup.
UEFA Cup at the time. Yeah. Okay.
When I got into it under Yol and all that.
All right. Sorry. I don't mean.
Yeah. It's Tottenham fans will tell you it's been rough for them. Right. Like the best man at my wedding, my brother in arms, Barry. He's a Tottenham fan. We have spent many North London derbies stood together with a beer, both with our respective shirts on, and we watch the game and we can watch it objectively, and we have some banter back and forth, but we've always been able to do that and talk about the game realistically. There's no sort of trolling, if you like. It's a very kind of respected discussion, and obviously part of me wants to laugh. I'm an Arsenal fan. I get it, right? But at the same time, it has to be painful because this team, I feel like that window is closing, if not already closed on this team,
Right.
and it's time. A rebuild's going to be necessary, and that's another 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah, I'm interested.
I
in
will
that.
say, I think by and large, most of Paratici's signings have been pretty good. I think Sarr in the first game against AC Milan was really good in his Champions League debut. I thought he was our best player actually. Udoji, who's been at Udinese, who I've heard you mention him a couple times in the Serie A recaps. He's looking really good. I don't know if that translates, but at least the promise is there. I thought Brian Hill looked good. I don't know if his physicality will. I don't know if he'll be physical enough to last in the Premier League. I would like to think so because every time he comes on, he looks electric. I think Richarlison will be a good signing. Like when he's the main guy, whenever that may be, I think he'll be grow on the player that he was at Everton. I thought Bentancur and Kulusevski was great, especially for the prices that we got them for. And Romero, I go back and forth on fucking Romero because he's so good and he's so talented, but he has the fuse of like a little, I don't even know what the firecracker's called, the ones with the short fuses and you just toss them. Because he makes so many dumb tackles that he doesn't need to make, and he gets sent off. And the talent there, he just needs to rein it in a little bit.
There's been 2 eras where approaching the North London derby, I've been like, man, this Tottenham team has me worried.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's only been 2 eras. That's bad news for Tottenham, right? It is because it's peak Gareth Bale.
Yeah,
okay.
Right,
you just knew he could win the game on his own.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then the Harry Kane v1, like early Harry Kane, he scored an absolute belter against Arsenal actually, and scored many goals against Arsenal. You know, the first few years, obviously, I feel like the last year or so, and that's not to say that Tottenham haven't beaten us during the other periods at times. The North London derby is unique in its own way anyway, like all derbies are. It could go whichever way. But if you ask me, like in terms of thinking, oh man, that's going to be a really tough game. Like they're really quite good. Bale and Kane for 2/3 of it. Like the last few years, I've slowly been not so worried about it, even though he still scores. You know, like
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. The post Conte, post Conte, what's going to happen post Conte? Because it's, just these little comments from Richarlison, and you get this, at a certain point, Daniel Levy's going to be like, we're going to go with Richarlison. I feel rather than Conte, because I don't know, I just can't imagine the Conte ball. If it hasn't been successful yet, I don't think it's going to be successful, and if you stick with it for another year or two, that type of thing. And it's so. When you see Kane and Son and Richarlison and now Danjuma's in there, and you have got somewhat good attacking players, and you see them playing this Conte ball, it's just like it's such a bummer. It's because like you just feel like there's more potential in that squad.
I really want to know what the hell Danjuma did to offend Conte.
Right.
Like this is a guy who has significant and like relevant Champions League experience. He could have added something to that Milan game. Like I don't know. I think he came on. He played in the FA Cup, and I think he came on in the league a little bit after. But other than that, I just see his Instagram where he's like, "Oh, training today." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Glad you're here." And Everton doesn't have you because they could sure as hell use you.
Right. Well, there was some. I don't know if it was the Milan game, but if they hadn't got a red card, I think Conte said that Danjuma would have come on or something.
Yeah, that was
Milan. Yeah.
Romero's red card. Yeah.
Romero's red card. Yeah. Yeah. Romero, since the World Cup, he's got like 3 red cards and like 18 yellow cards or something.
He's good, but he's not good enough to play 6 out of every 10 games because he's suspended for the other 4.
Right. Maybe that'll be a byproduct of a different play style that's not so defensively dependent. But yeah. Anyways, Spurs. Who do you guys have next week?
Southampton.
Southampton next week. Okay, so we'll see how that goes.
Still in 4th.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple other Big Six teams. Liverpool dropped points against Bournemouth after beating United 7-0, 1-0. Salah misses a penalty in the 70th minute, 7 meters wide. No, people are. Those were memes. Also, they face Madrid this midweek, trying to overcome a 5-2 deficit. Speaking of Champions League, UEFA is issuing refunds to all 19,618 Liverpool fans who had tickets to last year's Champions League final in Paris, which was a big debacle there. So justice, for the experience that all those Liverpool fans had to go through in Saint Denis, also famous from Red Dead Redemption, Saint Denis, right? Liverpool just didn't look great. We don't need to go too far into it, but Klopp was very, very disappointed post-match, and he said away from home they can't seem to get it together, and going to Madrid isn't going to be much easier. Real quick, Chelsea and City. Chelsea midweek beat Dortmund. Pretty good performance from Chelsea. Let's talk a little bit about Chelsea. Midweek they beat Dortmund, and then they beat Leicester 3-1. Great volley from Chilwell, and also from Leicester. Great goal from Daka. It's a weird situation for Chelsea, right? 10th in the Premier League. You feel like Europe's a little too far out of reach for them. And it feels like, what if they could put together a run in the Champions League? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think
it's a weird one. Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. Do you know what else wouldn't surprise me? Just touching upon Liverpool, like the kind of season they're having, it wouldn't surprise me if they went to Madrid and beat them comfortably. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those seasons where they're up and down. Yeah. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying it feels like that's their story this season. Is from high to low. Anyway, with Chelsea, similar with Chelsea, right? From week to week, you don't. As a Chelsea fan, I see there's at least one in the chat. I think Jamaican Milio, I think, said he's a Chelsea fan.
Oh, nice.
It's like you don't know what you're going to get from game to game, and I've seen a team in transition like that, and I think that's what they are. They're a team in transition. They're the question is, do they now have the ownership that is more patient to let that transition take place? Whereas Abramovich was always win now at all costs. What do we have to do to win next season? Okay, we need this manager and we need these 3 players. Bang.
Right.
Trigger pulled, away we go. Now they've gone through the ownership change. That's going to have implications on and off the field. It's going to take time for all the dust to settle and all the smoke to clear. You know what I mean? And then you bring in all these new players, a new manager. At some point they're going to have to say, all right, we've got to let this mold into something and then see where it is. That's how I view Chelsea at the moment, a team in transition.
Yeah. I don't know, but I just get this feeling that they got nothing else to play for. And these Champions League games, on the weekend, they'll go through the motions, get a win here, get a win there, try out all these new players. But I feel like they're going to do something maybe not win the Champions League, but I could see them getting through in the quarterfinals or something. There's a sense of there's no pressure in the league almost, which is it's just a weird situation for them. Which you never know how that could manifest in other areas of and
it will be costly if they don't, because they might not make Europe next season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think it doesn't look like they're going to make Europe. They could put it. I think that's 3 wins now for Chelsea in a row after a bunch of poor results. Maybe Potter's got something going. They played with a back 3. They look pretty comfortable. Cucurella playing kind of a left-sided center back with Chilwell on the pitch. So maybe they figured out their formation. Bellingham was a kind of a storyline of Dortmund season. Rumors of him moving to England. He was playing in London, chopping it up. He's getting a little feisty in the midweek Champions League match, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes. Any guesses where he goes for you guys?
I think he's so strongly linked with them. I think they'll spend the money, and I think he'll go to Liverpool because they are in need of that position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His stock went down a little bit, I'd say, in midweek.
Maybe.
But that's good for Liverpool. That's good for Liverpool.
Yeah. we saw him in the World Cup. He looked really good, and I mean that was.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like he looked really good, so we know he's capable.
And he and Henderson had their little like bromance as well. You know, it's just all shaping up. And City finally they scraped by Palace. Late penalty. Erling Haaland getting very animated at full time. You know, talking a lot of shit to the fans, to the opposite team after his penalty. But yeah, good gritty win for City, and they keep the pressure on Arsenal. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Any other highlights from the Premier League weekend we have here? Let me look through chat here before we move on. Free Danjuma, free Basuma, free Spence. Oh yeah, Spence is on loan, right? He's in.
Yeah, he's at Rennes.
He's at Rennes. Let's see. Oh, did you see the Sunderland Norwich debacle? Two players coming together and getting in each other's face, and the Sunderland player kisses the other guy on the lips. Pretty funny. In a very animated way. It's pretty funny, I thought. Anyways, moving on to Mas que un club, mess of a club, Barcelona. We'll loop in La Liga, a little bit of La Liga review here as well. But basically, new info about the Negreira case. Just for anyone who doesn't know, I'll just read a little brief thing here. A scandal involving former vice president of the technical committee of referees, Jose Maria Enriquez Negreira, who is suspected of using 550,000 euros from Barcelona to buy off third parties, is involved in the scandal. The tax agency claims that he withdrew large amounts of cash to pay those who have not yet been identified. Negreira regularly used a Visa card to cover his daily needs, spending more than 150,000 euro in a single year. The investigators suspect that he used the cash to remunerate other members of the refereeing establishment who allegedly conspired with him to obtain favorable decisions on the pitch for Barcelona. Right, this is all conjecture, guys. Let's not jump to conclusions. The proceedings revealed that Negreira's son, Javier Enriquez, was also paid by Barca through a company of the historic Blaugrana manager Jose Contreras. The case has been brought before the Court of Instruction number 1 of Barcelona. What do you think? Okay. I mean, there's a lot we don't know about this. Also, Negreira apparently has Alzheimer's, which is going to make this case a little more tricky. General question for chat, general question for Milo and Hoff. How do we prevent such scandals in professional sports? Is it even possible? Is this like politics, right? Lobbyists, Washington, secret money, all this stuff. It's basically just a big it's gonna be whipped into a situation where it's a big conspiracy. We'll probably never get to the bottom of it. Barcelona are gonna lobby or push for just heavy fines because there's obviously some ill play at hand here, and and Madrid has just joined the prosecution. They've got off the fence just, I think, today or yesterday, and they said, we are going to join the other clubs in La Liga who are making a case against Barcelona. So that's a lot more firepower now going against Barcelona. At first, Madrid were on the fence. This could, it's probably going to turn into a long, winded situation, but it's a real, let's be honest, we don't know all the details, and that's what Barcelona fans will say. We don't know everything. They could be making up. I could be making my little summary here could be completely fabricated. I don't know, guys. But it's a big problem. This is from 2001 to 2018 allegedly.
What caught my eye about this was it incorporates the Champions League final where Lehmann got sent off in 2006. A game that I was at.
That's spicy.
Is it though? Because like after that game, the referee, I forget which ref it was, he publicly said that he should have handled that differently. Now I've never seen a ref really do that. I think we saw something in the Premier League recently, but the ref said after that game, I should have booked Lehman and let the goal stand because the ball actually rolled into the net with what Eto'o did. Right. Instead, he sent Lehman off and gave them a free kick. So, you know what I mean? Like, was the ref telling the truth or was it something more innocuous? As it is, we still got within 19 minutes of winning that game. So I don't, you know what I mean? Like, who knows?
Right.
And we very clearly got tired and we lost that game in its own merit. So part of me thinks, nah, it's not part of this at all. But it made me think about it.
Right.
Anyway, but
that's the common denominator.
To your point about how do we stop this, yada yada yada. Like, we won't know the full details of everything till much later. Like, I was a big fan of Serie A in the 90s, right? Look how corrupted that was.
Right.
We found out, we found out quite a bit later how corrupt the Italian league was, and probably was right throughout that era where we were like, wow, this is the best league ever. It's got all the best players. Like, the money wasn't anywhere near the numbers we're talking about today, but at the time would have been huge. So, yeah, right. I think much like an important job, like, to prevent in the future, background checks, credit checks, financial record checks, stuff like that for people in power is a necessity. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only way I can think of to stop. And money is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
As they say, and it is true. So it's always gonna follow the money, man. Follow the money trail. That's what they say, right? Criminal investigators, just follow the money trail.
Yep.
I've read a couple things on this since it came out, and the guy that was getting the payments, Negreira, I don't know if it was his testimony or I don't know how the legal system in Spain works or if it does work. But he said it was to make sure that he was paid to make sure, quote, to make sure no refereeing decisions were made against them, Barcelona, for everything to be neutral. So it wasn't to like get things to go their way per se. It was to not have things go against them that normally in favor of someone else, if that makes sense. Later, another article I read that Barcelona former directors said that they did it in self-defense to neutralize bias toward Real Madrid. So basically, if the referees are a spectrum, they're trying to get it to go back toward them from being at Madrid in their eyes. And they said, we hid it from you to protect you. I love that line.
Yeah.
Just for Stefan, guys, this is what the referee, whose name in that Champions League final was Terje Haig. He said, all in all, I'm quite happy with my performance. The match started well. Then obviously there was the incident with the sending off. At this point, I would have liked to have taken a few more seconds before I made my decision. The ideal thing would have been to wait a few seconds. If I'd done that, I could have given the goal and eventually a yellow card to Lehman. Of course, everyone wants a goal. So it was a key situation. Everything happened so quickly on the pitch. And for me, it looked like there was contact. And yeah, so there you go. He kind of admitted he kind of wishes he'd done it differently. Was that because he was, paid money? No, I don't know. Who knows?
All these questions arise, and it just, anything that attacks the integrity of the game is just a bummer, and because it does all these types of things, it just brings up all these feelings of doubt and what's going on, and 9/11, all this stuff happens,
I'm under no illusion, by the way, Stefan. I just want to be clear. Like, I was at the game live. I remember it vividly. It was the greatest game I've ever been at. And, we had every chance to win that game. I think with 11, I think we would have done. But we got tired with 17 minutes to go.
Well, yeah. I mean, as we find out more about this, we'll talk more about it. It's still, first off, it's all in Spanish, basically. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with people here. It's most of it is in Spanish. The people that are, coming out with new stories every day is all in Spanish, to be honest. So it's kind of tough to follow. But I'm going to do my best to try to get the proper, what's going on, and we'll see how it goes, because this is going to be going on for a while, and we could just much like the City thing, it's going to keep going on for a while. Don't forget, guys, Man City is also under investigation. Anyways,
just
Hoff.
not, and I'm not implicating one person or another, but there is one person in common with both of those situations. I thought it was
Steve
interesting,
Bannon.
the La Liga.
sorry.
The La Liga president, and this is just where the La Liga is in this situation. They can't do any sporting punishments because, like Man City's ordeal a few years ago, it happened more than 3 years ago. The La Liga bylaws are, we can't take action on things that happened. Statute of limitations. There we go.
Yes.
So there aren't going to be any sporting sanctions, but they could be government, like criminally, financially. There could be consequences.
Yeah, there was talk of even them missing out on Europe next season or something. There's a lot of talk. So I don't know how much of it is true and what's not happening, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, interesting stuff. Let's kind of mosey into some La Liga talk. Just real quick, I just want to talk about a couple games. Most recently today, Atletico Madrid won in like the 98th minute against, or 90th minute against Girona. Really tight game. Last minute goal for Alvaro Morata. But big match was yesterday. Barcelona versus Atletico Bilbao. Beautiful stadium in Bilbao, by the way. And it was 0-0 for a while, but Rafinha broke the deadlock after a disallowed goal. The big decision, though, was, the big talking point you can see in the picture up there is Gavi making these head-first tackles. It was just kind of fascinating. Just making these, putting his body on the line, head on the line tackles. And at the end of the match, towards the end of the match, 80th plus minute, there was a disallowed goal for Bilbao. I should have probably notified you guys about this earlier so you could take a look. But it was Inaki Williams' goal. And in the build-up to that goal, there was a handball called, or there was retrospectively a handball called, retroactively, on Iker Munian in a challenge with Frenkie de Jong. The ball kind of, much like Scott McTominay's handball. I don't know if you guys remember that one. We kind of mentioned it earlier. The ball kind of jumbles up at chest height between Frenkie and Munian. Munian kind of turns his back towards the ball, and it hits his forearm. And then play resumes, and then Bilbao score. Crowd goes wild, and then VAR calls it back, and it turns out to be another 1-0 win for Barcelona, who extend their lead at top La Liga to 9 points. Atletico Madrid still in third place there. At the bottom of the table, Valencia out of the relegation zone with a win over Osasuna, so they are just barely treading over there. Also, Sevilla winning 2-1 against Almeria, moving them out of the relegation battle. Between 19th and 12th place, there's 5 points, 6 points to 11th, 7 points to 10th, and 8 points. It's tight in La Liga. Some big teams down there: Valencia, Sevilla, etc. Bilbao even is down there, so that'll be interesting. But the big match this week is going to be Barcelona versus Real Madrid. We'll see. This is in the league. They also play in the Copa del Rey second leg a little later next month after the international break. But we will be doing a El Clasico specific interactive quiz very shortly, guys. It is coming up in return of the quiz after we get through some other leagues. So it's an interactive quiz on your phone, on your computer. Just stick around for that. It'll be up in a little bit. But yeah, La Liga went pretty good. That was kind of the big match happening in Spain without going through all the other matches. And real quickly on the topic of Gavi, right? We have him up there. The court order which Barcelona sought to force La Liga to allow him to register Gavi's. So Gavi's contract, there was some issues going on with it. His contract has been annulled as they filed it a day late, even taking into account the grace period day that the league gives them. He's therefore not registered as a first-team player, but can continue to play for the first team on his old contract. So a bit of financial stuff there. I don't know, Hoff, maybe that summed up what you might have had on it. I don't know if you had anything else.
Yeah, that was basically it. Like, he's technically, by the letter of the law, by La Liga rules, he's a Barça B player.
Right.
And they can call those players up anytime, so he can still play. Yeah, and his release clause is much lower than the one that they agreed on with the new contract.
Yeah.
But it will, correct me if I'm wrong, Stefan, it'll expire at the end of the season. But if they don't agree a new contract or get this one like reinforced, I guess. Yeah, so I can't see him leaving. They'll either make a new contract or fix the one that was thrown out. Right. Yeah, I don't think he'll leave. It's just a weird situation. It's a clerical error, basically.
It's more Barca just fumbling the contracts, or something's going on with the signatures, and that's just more drama for them behind the scenes. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on in Spain. Were there any big games in Serie A or Bundesliga? Yeah, Milo, any big matches there?
Yeah, I won't go too deep this week, but Napoli, obviously, to me, Napoli have one hand on that trophy. Kvaratskhelia scored a belter. Good goal if you want to go check that out. Yeah, the Georgian wonder kid. But yeah, they're 18 points clear again right now. For me, they have one hand on that trophy. I mean, look, if Arsenal were 18 points ahead of City, I would probably already be celebrating. I'm just gonna throw it out there. You would hear things that I've never said before since you've known me. So just there you go. But the biggest game, I think, Red Rose put it up there in chat. Roma Sassuolo, absolute banger of a game there. Although Sassuolo, it would have been 4-2 would have been a fair result. I think it was Wijnaldum scored late to pull one back. A red card for Roma as well, down to 10 men. So yeah, apart from that, looking at the table, what's pretty incredible is, take Napoli out of it, from Inter in second down to Roma in fifth, there's 3 points separating those teams. Yeah. Which is Inter, Lazio, Milan, and Roma. Juve, they're starting to get a little bit of form back, and they're slowly closing that gap again towards the European spots. But yeah, it's
Let's see what it's 12 games left in City. It looks like 12 games.
I thought it was interesting. Inter lost. Who did they lose to? I forget. It doesn't matter who they lost to. Their goal was scored by an AC Milan loaned player. I thought that was
Daniel Maldini.
Kind of a fun little thing.
That's right.
Yeah. Maldini, right?
Who is at Parma in my FM save, my main save, by the way. Yeah. Daniel Maldini.
Hey, Ben Ritchie.
Sitting 12th in Syria. Just gonna.
Yeah, we got to talk about that too before we finish.
No worries.
Bundesliga, Hoff, any big things happened this week, or pretty mellow, or
the Revier Derby, where the hell that accent come from? The Revier Derby, which is Dortmund Schalke, which is a historically really great derby. It was 2-2. Schalke got a big point to get off of the bottom spot, so Hoffenheim are at the bottom. Pulled Dortmund back a little bit, but they still control their own destiny as far as the title goes. Bayern beat Augsburg 5-2 as well. That was actually a weird game. 5-2 kind of insinuates that Bayern didn't have any problems, but there were a couple moments where it could have went either way, but I mean, Bayern, in the end, quality normally wins out. But those two teams, Bayern and Dortmund, are one of those two are probably going to win the title. Leipzig have fallen off a little bit, even though they won. But they still play Dortmund, so they still have they can control their own destiny.
Right.
Sorry.
I got Yeah. One thing about Bayern have just recently signed a deal with something close to my neck of the woods, Los Angeles FC. They formed a partnership to develop young talent in for soccer players here in the States. It's called Red and Gold Football. It's based in Munich, and they're gonna have a management team announced soon. The aim is to develop international talent in partnership with other clubs. So this sounds like this is going to be their sister club situation, in as well as LA Galaxy. In addition to other clubs, they'll be joining them. The cooperation is expected to strengthen Bayern's position in sporting competition with other European clubs, and the fact that the 2026 World Cup will largely take place in the USA makes Los Angeles an attractive location. Let's see. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, the good news for LA football and MLS, in my opinion. It's good to have that link. Bayern is a massive club in the States. A lot of German heritage here. So massive club here. But yeah. Anyways, anything else in Bundesliga notable going on?
Not really.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Union train is derailed.
Oh no.
Unfortunately.
Speaking of derailed trains in Ohio. No, okay.
Oh boy.
Other news, a little Champions League. Before let's get to the quiz soon. We're getting a little short on time. Sergio Ramos, after PSG was knocked out by Bayern Munich, caught on cameras allegedly saying, excuse my language, please, fuck the whore that gave birth to Paris, motherfucker. That is that's what the lip readers caught Sergio Ramos saying. Also in that game, there was a big Delict goal line clearance off the line, which was pretty good. Ex-PSG players as well as Henry saying, ex-PSG player Botham or Rotham or something. They said they don't need to re-sign Messi next season.
Oh.
Also, Henry saying PSG need more youth academy players in the team like Kolo Muani and Marcus Thuram to bring back the kind of like the Paris in Paris Saint-Germain. And now
something like that too.
And my last thing here is only Arsenal with 177 games have played more Champions League games than Paris without ever winning the trophy. It's a tough one.
Yep.
So yeah, Paris, their whole project is kind of.
That's what happens when you qualify for it for 20 years in a row and don't win it. Yeah.
Yeah. But,
I mean, we took that money as far as we could, but yeah, there you go. Speaking of lip reading, Cart, is it true that when Casemiro got sent off, Anthony was saying to him, "I will win this game for you"?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, man.
Is this true? Because that made me laugh.
Casemiro was distraught. I don't know what was going on with him, man.
Just Anthony, do you think someone was like, "Bro, don't ever do that again"? Like, because he's like, "I will win this game for you." Like, I don't know. It was a bit. It made me chuckle.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, let's see. Other little things. Pogba is recently injured as well. He's got a 20 to 30 day injury. He's played. What did I have here? He's missed since 2016. Since his transfer to Manchester United in 2016, he has missed 31% of all playable league minutes. That's basically 2 full years where he has not played. It could be one of the greatest career letdowns, but that World Cup is going to buoy everything. But yeah, he injured himself doing free kicks in training today. His abductor. He injured his abductor.
We've all been there.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Just not at the professional level.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Let's see what's going on in chat, Eric. But guys, while we read through chat, I'm gonna get the quiz ready. I don't know if you guys saw anything in chat that caught your eye that we didn't kind of missed, but I'm gonna get the quiz ready on your screen. You can set it up. It's called Quizlet. It should be popping up soon. Quizlet is like a thing for studying. Let me get it up here. It's moving slow. We're moving slow here. Computer's moving slow. Hopefully it doesn't break down on me. Pedri is back for El Clasico. That's a good question. Is Pedri back for El Clasico? He should be coming back soon. All right, here we go. It should be popping up now. Hopefully something pops up on your screen. It'll pop up. Is it popping up for anybody?
It just came up.
Okay, cool. So yeah, just get ready there, guys. If you're having trouble, just say something in chat. We'll try to help you. Most leagues are rigged with corruption. This is something Iran Sports was also mentioning to me. He thinks everything's rigged. Iran does. What do you guys think? Do you think it's all rigged?
No, I don't think it's all rigged. I do think eFootball is rigged, so I'll agree with Iran Sports with him there.
Maybe that's influencing the thought, the opinion, right? Playing these video games that just feel crazy, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. Man, I sincerely hope not. You know what I mean? Because I've dedicated a large portion of my life to all sports, not just football. I mean, I love so many sports. I spend so much time watching it. I would hate that to be all rigged, you know?
Right. Yeah, true. All right, guys, there should be an on-screen thing going on now. Are we all there? Are we do we see it? Hopefully. Guys, if you're on mobile, it's above chat. You know, you just click on the option you see in chat. Guys, today's quiz is based on El Clasico. Oh, it says it right there. El Clasico. Sorry, Javi. It might cover the bottom of your screen here. Basically, if you select the right answer quickly, you get the most points. If you select the wrong answer quickly, you get the least points. You get negative points. You don't have to answer everything. Winner gets to what does the winner get to do? The winner gets to force me to shave my head or something, you know, take off, cut my hair short. I don't know. We need some incentive to play.
Quiz.
I want people to play. There's 9 questions. I want people to answer. All right, here we go. First question, guys. First question. Which year was the first El Clasico match held? 1921.
Don't answer in the chat. Either.
Don't answer in the chat. Don't answer in the chat. Don't use Google. You only have 30 seconds. Don't use Google. Just tap on the screen. You know, it should be on the screen in front of you. You have to enable the Quizlet thing. It's usually in the top middle, top right, top left of the screen if you're looking on PC, and if you're on mobile, it's in chat above chat. You'll see it if you open this sidebar. Usually that's where it is. 1921, 1903, 1916, 1945. What year was the first El Clasico match held? Hey Lobo, how you doing? All right, the answer is 1916. Ooh, we tricked a couple people in there. 1916 is the correct answer.
I hope Stefan got that correct.
Let's. I want to see. I think we should see who got that correct. Let's see who got it right. Adola got it correct. Oh, all right.
Ooh, Stefan went big too.
Stefan went big. All right, here we go.
I bet a small amount on it. You know.
I went small.
All right, next question coming up. Who is the all-time leading goal scorer in El Clasico history? Is it Raúl, Luis Suarez, Cristiano Ronaldo, or Lionel Messi? I guess that Spain wasn't in World War I. Ah, true. You get minus points, guys. You get minus points. You get minus points.
Yeah, that's where you have to think about, like, how much do you want to bet? How confident are you in your answer?
Yeah. There's some tricky questions coming up as well, I think. There's some good ones I found. Yeah, El Clasico is going to be a good one. Big match for Madrid, I think. Bigger match for Madrid. I mean, it's a big match either way. Correct answer is Lionel Messi. It's a tricky one, It's the obvious one. You think maybe it's not going to be that.
That's why I went with Raúl. I thought it wouldn't be one of CR7 or Messi. I went with Raúl.
Raúl's in there. All right, here we go. We'll show the scoreboard next time. All right, next question: who has the most appearances in El Clasico? For El Clasico, I guess. Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, Cristiano Ronaldo, or Sergio Ramos? Those are like the same options as last time. Last question, I think. Interesting.
Ramos was swapped out with Raul.
Ramos and Raul. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's see. 5 seconds here. You're not worried about minus points? I'm gambling. Only one.
All you need is one question where you positively know the answer, and then that can bring you straight back into the game.
True. Oh, did Busquets? Yeah. Okay, this quiz might have been a little dated. I think you might be correct. I apologize, people. It's a scam. You got scammed. Okay. I'm just like Barcelona. I'm scamming.
We've run into this on football quizzes many times, guys. Sometimes they're a bit out of date. So.
They're slightly.
There's only so much time in the day that we can trawl the internet for football questions.
Busquets has 46 now. Wow. Well, who has the most between these people? How about that? Who has the most?
Ramos.
Sergio Ramos was the correct answer. All right, let's take a quick look at the scores here. Let's see what we're looking at. Ooh, Adola still. Oh, that's on the question. Let's see. Ooh, Hoff is in the lead. Oh my goodness. Hoff, Adola. Julio's in there. All right. All right. Uh-oh, whoever. Uh-oh. Okay, here we go. Next question. Next question. Contestant 17's in there too as well. All right, here we go. Next question. Who has won the most number of El Clasicos? Is it Real Madrid, Richmond FC, Barcelona, or Manchester United? Guys, remember, Manchester United is the great. No. Okay, it's Madrid or Barcelona. I just had to fill in 4 things. Okay. Ted Lasso. You never know what would Ted Lasso do. What would Ted Lasso do? Can you imagine Ted Lasso
That's Wednesday as well.
Oh, is that coming out?
Yeah,
something I didn't bring up. Something I didn't bring up tonight. By the way, Arteta 100th win as a manager.
That's
already.
right. That's right.
Pretty big.
That is pretty big. That is pretty big
for his age.
The correct answer is Barcelona.
Fuck.
Now, okay. Okay. Listen. I really apologize if it's dated now. I feel like it would have been bigger news if they overtook Madrid with Okay. Anyways. Okay. Sorry,
Stefan,
guys.
did he get to 100 wins quicker than Ten Hag? That's the only stat
Which
I
of
care
these
about.
players moved straight from Madrid to Barcelona with no club in between?
Madrid.
Robert Prozinecki, Samuel Eto'o, George Hagi, or Luis Enrique? I gotta check that last score. Culture, I gotta check it.
So you mean I should have got points for that then?
God. Maybe. This whole thing is a scam.
Stop the count.
I'd like to say that I answered that with 30,000 on the line.
Okay, so I think recently Madrid has overtaken Barcelona. I think that's what's happened. Barcelona has 99, Madrid has 101. So it was recently.
Oh wow, we're really close then.
Yeah. So guys, we might have to push the prize to next week. You know.
We will do more quiz vetting before next week, guys.
Luis Enrique is the correct answer.
Yes.
Luis Enrique. All right, let's bumble through these here.
Which may or may not be correct.
Yeah, this also may or may not be correct. Here we go. Next question. Besides Real Madrid and Barcelona, which other side has never been relegated from La Liga since La Liga was created in 1929? Atletico Madrid, Valencia, Atletico Bilbao, or Real Sociedad? Wow, La Liga 1929. That's interesting. They could use like a Premier Liga or something, Primera Liga. Valencia going down this year? Oh no.
No.
All right, the correct answer. Oh no, it does a little latency, latency stuff. By the way, if you can go on low latency mode for this part, it's probably easier. The correct answer is Athletic Bilbao. Look at that perfect distribution on that one.
Damn.
Wow.
Bilbao.
All right, so we have 2 more questions. We'll look at the scores after this next one, okay? We'll look at the scores after this next one. Question number 7. What object was thrown at Luis Figo when the former Barcelona man returned to the Camp Nou as a Madrid player in 2002? Was it a bottle of whiskey, a brick, a pig's head, or a mobile phone? Oh, Culture's got this one.
It didn't even show up that number. I had to go 28.6.
Oh, wow. You think you got this one? This one is pretty interesting to me.
I remember when he went there. That was something. I was in high school.
A pig's head is the answer. That's pretty wild, huh? Yeah, we maybe we'll show. Oh yeah, let's look at the standing. Say yeah, 7 of you guys got it. Well done, guys. Well done.
Some god.
Rumor has it Milo was the one that threw it. Oh wow, look at this. Stefan has taken the lead. Oh my goodness. And he's got a full...
I was wrongfully taken points away.
That's true. That's true. That's a tough one.
I'm sure he got points right for that one too, because he's not going to answer Madrid, even if it is right.
I am short. I'm short 25,000 points, so technically I'm in third.
All right, you have to win plus or minus 30,000 points. Okay, winner has to be. You have to win. Okay. All right. Next question. Let's keep moving. How many games have they played against each other that ended with 0-0? I don't know what this wording is. Okay. The number might have changed, but it has to, according to when this quiz was made.
Shit.
I mean, I'm just gonna guess.
Why not?
This is basically, this is like.
How many have they played since they last drew?
I'll say the last time, 2019 was the last time it happened. And before that, it was 2002. Oh. So it's been a while. So, okay, you might have
from like 2006.
I don't know when this quiz is from. All right, here we go.
In La Liga?
24.
Oh.
So now that you can't even argue with that one, right? You can't even argue. Even if it's dated, that's okay.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. If it's dated, it's because that's an upper limit there. All right, here we go. That is a weird question. I don't know how I worded that. Sorry, guys. Okay, and quickly the scores before the final answer. Yes, some people were smart. They didn't even answer. All right, Stefan Adola. So okay. Stefan, Adola, Hoff, you're all in it. And fourth place, Jade or whatever's after bronze. Okay, here we go. Who has made the most El Clasico appearances? Francisco Gento, Xavi Hernandez, Fernando Hierro, or Manuel Sanchez? A tricky one to finish. Yeah, the question was worded poorly, Adola. My bad. They put a limit on the number of... Actually, even with that limit, I should have worded it better.
You have to type them out.
Yeah.
I will... Before next week, I will send you some questions.
Okay.
By the way, if you really want to be smart, just use ChatGPT. I did it
that's a good idea.
Just ask it to give you 10 multiple choice football questions.
What's the big match next week?
Well, international break it'll be by that time.
Oh, right. Shit.
International break trivia? No, we'll see. All right, the correct answer is Manuel Sanchez. No one got that right. Interestingly.
I went for a big score to try and recoup as many as I could, so I'm out.
Now, I don't know what Xavi's at now, but I'm pretty okay, anyways. I should have checked the date on these. Damn, Stefan won. Oh, wow. Stefan shot on the last one as well.
Culture, all right. You came out of nowhere, like, just hit me by minus 4,000 points.
Nice work, guys. Nice work. Stefan, you get to choose what day I get to, I have to cut my hair off, We'll do a stream with cut hair. or something. We'll figure it out. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining the quiz. Hope you guys enjoy. We'll do a new quiz, non-fraudulent questions next time. You know, this was El Clasico, so we had to choose fraudulent questions. You guys know how it is.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, it's all fraudulent. But yeah, let's move on to just quickly, guys. What's happening this week? Anything notable? First off, content-wise, stream-wise, and otherwise, games-wise. We got Champions League, obviously Premier League next weekend, Europa League. Is there Formula One next week, Milo?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, Jeddah.
Oh, Jeddah.
Jeddah. Yeah, I mean, most of the F1 community is just hoping and praying that it's not going to be an easy time for Red Bull, but yeah, I'm not so sure, man. I don't know. I was getting into this the other night. I'll be talking more about it tomorrow night, actually, on my F1 Manager stream.
F1 Manager this week. Also, Parma Save.
Yeah, I don't have a dedicated night for that. I'm just kind of fitting that in if and when.
Okay.
On my single player night Saturday, you know, I like to play a story game. I started Half-Life Alyx in VR, and it's without question the best VR game I've ever played. The graphics, it looks like just a regular game. Like, there's not many games in VR that do that.
Mm-hmm.
They purposely went out and custom built this game, and it has. I can't even describe to you. I mean, check out the VOD if you want to see, but like the game itself is so good and it's so intuitive. And a lot of VR games are clunky. Like, take sim racing out of it, because that's obviously sim racing.
Right.
I love that. And flight sims are great because you can look around. You know what I mean? Like, you're landing a plane, you can look, right? So stuff like that, it's fine. But the actual, you know, games that you get in and play, some of them are very clunky. This one is phenomenal. They built these gravity gloves, so you point at things and then you can like flick it to yourself and catch it. So anything you want to pick up, like, you don't have to bend down and pick it up. You can use the gravity. It's really clever. Very, very good. Very well done.
Nice. Huff, anything you're looking forward to this week?
I'm looking forward to the race. I've just been so flaky with streams, but normally about this time of year when Spurs season is all but over, I do about this time of year. I just do a Tottenham Rage Spur save.
Oh, okay.
Where I just sell everyone and buy a bunch of Wonder Kids and try to like go Sherman through Atlanta on the Premier League. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna try to do. I'll set that up. I'm setting my OBS and stuff up, so hopefully I'll be streaming that a couple nights this week.
Nice. Cool. Let me think. What was the highlight of the week, guys? Okay, so it was supposed to have a flood here, and it didn't. So it's kind of a highlight and a low light for me. You know, California is about to get poured on with atmospheric rivers, guys. I don't know if you guys have heard of an atmospheric river. Google it. I still don't know what it is, but it sounds pretty epic. And we were supposed to get an atmospheric river here, and nothing happened. It just didn't happen. It's pretty uneventful. And so now it's like, it's real humid though, which is nice. It's like, it's very weird it being humid. I can go for walks at night. You know, it's nice and humid. What else is happening? I watched the movie called The Unforgiven, not to be confused with Metallica. It's a 1994, the Western film Unforgiven. It's Academy Award winner. And I didn't realize the Academy Awards were this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why the name of our title is Everything Everywhere All in One Showgate. And you know, they won Best Picture, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Good movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Have you guys seen that?
Unforgiven?
No. Sorry, I'm talking about two movies now. I'm talking. Unforgiven is one movie with Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman, 1994 or 3.
Seen that? It's a classic.
Good movie. Good movie.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say this. I've seen a lot of Clint Eastwood. A little overrated for me so far.
He's from a different time, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Respect. So far. But have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, the movie that won Best Picture this year?
No.
It won almost everything, didn't it?
It is a trip.
I usually see the Oscar winners list and I'm like, who? What? Like, what movie? You know what I mean? Like, I think I'm more of a Golden Globes. I'm more trashy when it comes to my movie taste. You know?
Fair enough. Highlight of the week will be Liverpool's improbable comeback against Real Madrid. Oh, that would be scenes. That would be amazing.
Oh, yeah, I mentioned it, but Ted Lasso Wednesday.
Ted Lasso
season.
Wednesday. Ooh, that's what I'm going to do after the show. I'm watching Last of Us finale.
If you have Apple Plus or Apple TV, whatever it's called, they're streaming the actual like content streaming service. I've been watching Shrinked. Shrinking, that's what it's called, with Jason Segel and Harrison Ford, and it is excellent. It's another Bill Lawrence show, so it's kind of that similar vibe that you get from like Scrubs or Ted Lasso. It's kind of that similar vibe. It's really good.
Okay, nice. Last thing I have here is Robbie Savage. When he realized his son Charlie, on loan from Man United, has scored his first goal for Forest Green Rovers, he said, "My boy has scored! My boy has scored!" I don't know if you guys saw that clip. It was a really touching clip. It was a nice clip of Robbie. I don't know what you guys think of Robbie Savage. Maybe he's a bell end or whatever. You know, I don't know. I don't know what people think of him. But yeah, guys. Anything else you want to add? Actually. What?
I don't mind Robbie actually. He used to be on 5 Live podcast, and it would be him and Chris Sutton arguing a lot. Actually, those two used to go at it quite a bit.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't mind Savage.
Milo, I've messaged you something for the. I don't know if you want to go with that one or if you had something else lined up.
I already have one.
Okay.
I could save that one though.
Okay.
I mean, unless you want to read that one out, you go for it.
All right, I kind of want to read this one.
Do it, and then I'll do mine.
Yeah. All right. I saw this literally 2-3 minutes before the show started, so I just typed it in Discord because I thought it was kind of funny. What do you call a dog that can do magic, Hoff?
What do you call a dog that can do magic? I don't know.
A labracadabrador.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Is that considered a dad joke? I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
I thought it was genuinely funny and clever.
Two dads approve.
There you go. Yeah. I have one to finish off.
Okay. Yeah. This is the real one, guys. Don't, that last one was bad.
I'm going to enlist the help of Hoff on this one.
Oh.
Okay.
So knock knock.
Who's there?
No bell.
No bell who?
No bell, so I just knocked.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Let's get to that ending screen quick.
I was waiting for like Nobel Prize or something.
Jesus. No bell, so I knocked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad I didn't say banana?
That's a good one.
That's also a good one.
GG's, everyone.
Yeah, it was a good one. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, chat, for joining, as always. Without you, we are nothing.
It's the Monday weekend.
That's right.
It's the Monday weekend wrap up. 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 It's the Monday weekend